Hello, 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 Stamping Friends. How is everybody doing today? I am Caron Bailey, your independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and I am here today to create for you this fun fold card. It is a shadow box fun fold. It was one of our featured swaps in the Sweet Signatures card swap group for the month of July. So I'm here to show you the card that I created for it. And I'm going to create another version for you. So here's a card that I created for the swap, or maybe not, I don't know. And this is how it opens. It's just a regular card front, and then you open it, and then you have this amazing shadow box that's inside. It's a lot of parts and a lot of pieces, you guys, but lots of parts and lots of pieces does not mean that you don't create that card. I've tried to go ahead and pre-cut and die cut and pre-stamp. Well, I didn't pre-stamp anything, but I tried to cut most everything in preparation for today. So the only things you'll see that I die cut is probably the outer pieces. I'll show you how to do this part, and then I'll show you mainly how to assemble the card. Guys, come on in to the craft room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time, please say hello. Let me know where you're joining me from. And if you haven't, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. And then don't forget to click that notification bell so that you know whenever I'm going to go live to provide you content on my channel. If you are coming back, you're a returning visitor to In the Craft Room with Caron. Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for coming back. All right, let's go, because this is probably going to take a little bit of time. I probably have more parts and pieces than I need to know what to do with, because I'm a little bit iffy on which direction I'm going with the final design. So let's just go ahead and get started. Let me show you what I'm using. Oh, before I do that, let me tell you, the inspiration for the shadow box card came from the Wandering Stamper. She's also a fellow Stampin' Up demonstrator, and this idea for this card swap came from her. Thank you so much for the inspiration, and I hope that I am going to do you justice. I am also going to be using the deckled rectangle dies instead of the arches like I used in the sample. I'm going to use the deckled rectangles. And guys, this just goes to show you that you can use whatever nested shaped dies you may have. It doesn't have to be arches. It doesn't have to be rectangles. You can use whatever you have. It's preferable that it's nested. I'm also going to use the Sunset Coast. Actually, this is Scenic Coast, I believe, is the name of the suite. I am going to use the designer series paper from that suite. I'm going to use the probably sentiments from this suite, and use some of the stamped images from this collection as well. All right, so let's put this aside for now. Let me walk you through the parts and pieces that you are going to need. And I took these base directions directly from the Wandering Stamper. All right, so let's take a look and see what we are going to need. So here I have, and hopefully I got them right. I have everything everywhere. So we're going to need, for our card base, a piece that is 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. And we're going to score this at 4 3/8. Yes, it is a little bit different than a regular 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and you'll see why, okay? But again, 8 1/4 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 3/8. This is our card base. We're also going to need a piece that is, I have them everywhere, you guys. Try to keep them in order. That way everything stays where we need them. And this is Balmy Blue. Hey, Michelle, how are you? We're going to use, I believe I went with I believe I went with Darling Duckling on this one. So this is Darling Duckling, and this is let's see, this is 4 by 5 1/4, and then we have a piece of designer series paper, and this is 3 3/4 by 5. Now again, this is from the Scenic Coast, the Scenic Coast suite. So we're using all of this from there. This is going to be on the front panel of our card. We'll leave that there for now. And then we're also going to need, let's put these aside for now. I'm gonna have to figure out where they go again. We're gonna need for the box part itself, we're gonna need a piece that is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and we are gonna score at 1/2 inch, 4 1/4 inch, and 4 3/4 inch. Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. Are you going to pop into our stamping today in a little bit? I'm trying to get this video done so that we can go play in this afternoon. So that's what this inner portion is. This is the box that's going to, the piece that's going to form our shadow box layer on the inside. So what else we're going to need for our front layer is we are going to need a piece of designer series paper. And this designer series paper is 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. And I'm gonna grab a piece that's a little bit bigger, about 1/8 inch. And this is going to be, is this for this? Well, I have that as well as a piece of fresh freesia, because I wasn't sure which one I wanted to do my frame with. So I have both of them, and these are about 1/8 inch bigger than this one. So this will be 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, then we're going to need some additional same piece. So it was 2 pieces of this. We're going to need a piece for our inside sentiment. Yay! I'm looking forward to seeing you today, Michelle. So let's go ahead and grab some and go ahead and get started with putting our project together and doing our die cutting. Oh, I should have brought my die cutting machine over. I'll have to pop out and go do that. So for our initial piece, right? And I'm going to do the sentiment and everything after. So we're just going to take this piece that is 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm going to adhere it to the coordinating mat layer. Like so. This paper is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. Oh, thank you. Sometimes you don't know how things appear until you actually do them, right? So you should have maybe about 1/8 inch border all the way around because of how you cut your cardstock. Okay, now this is our 8 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we're gonna have our larger side. That is the front of our card. So this is where we're going to place this piece that we just adhered. Now, I'm going to delay putting that on there because I don't know if I want to add ribbon. I don't know what I want to do yet. So I'm going to hold off on laying this down, but we know this is where that's going to go. All right, so the next things we want to work on is our mat layers. Now we got to make some decisions. Do we want to continue to mat this on the Darling Duckling, or do we want to mat this on, I think I want to go with, what do you think, Michelle? The Darling Duckling or the Fresh Freesia? This is going to go here. I think the Darling Duckling is where I want to go. What do you think? It definitely picks up this bit of orange in here, yellow in here. So I think that's where I want to go. Okay, so what we're going to end up doing is, let's put this aside. We might use that somewhere. Is we're going to add a layer of adhesive. I'm thinking. It's been a minute since I've done this, and all we're going to do is we're going to add that only on the outside of the print, okay? Because we're going to die cut through it, and so we want to make sure that we're able to reuse the pieces on the inside. So we're just going to add some adhesive. Oh, you said the fresh freesia. Okay, I'll switch. And so we're just going to put the this die cut piece right on here, like so. Okay. Now, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to also adhere it to what is the front piece of our shadow box. Okay. Now, when you're creating your shadow box layer, your 1/2 inch portion is on your left hand side. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing. Add our adhesive, and we're going to add our adhesive only on the outer portions of the card. Right? If you know where you're going to end up putting your die cuts, then you can add adhesive to that point. But I'm not 100% sure, so here we go. Oops, putting it in the wrong place. So here's our front. Gonna go ahead and add it, and make sure when you align this or attach it to the front that you do not go over the score line. Okay, so now that this is on here, we're gonna figure out which dies we want to use size wise, right? So in the deckled rectangles, if you have this one, I think I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, I think maybe the 4th and 5th from the center. Right? So we're going to cut our window piece. And let's see where this is going to go. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to cut and make sure we frame whichever piece we want. And this is how we're going to do this. Let me grab some Post-it tape. And then I got to go grab my die cutting machine. Now, you want to make sure that this is secure, because unlike when you're die cutting regularly, you can, whether you shift it or not, it doesn't really matter, but we really don't want this to shift at all once we put it through the die cutting machine. So I'm going to use the Post-it tape, labeling tape. This is perfect for masking as well as securing your die cut piece. Now let me go grab my die cut machine, and I will be right back. Unfortunately, it will not fit through it won't fit through the mini cut and emboss machine, so I do have to use the big boss. All right, so there's my base. Making sure I have all my parts and pieces. I need a second cutting plate. Hold on, I'm coming. All right. I keep my mini cut and emboss machine right next to my workstation. I don't do the same with the big boss, so I had to go dig her out. All right. Let's see what we got. So we're going to start with our base platform, our number 1. We got our number 2. We have our cutting plate. Then we're going to add our piece to be die cut. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I shift it a little bit, if you can see. Have our piece to be die cut right here. And then our next top cutting plate. Now we're going to run this through the die cut machine. Back through. And I'm going to run it one more time, only because it's cutting through more layers. And I just want to make sure that it all comes out. Okay. Perfect. Let's put this away for now, because we're going to need our cutting machine again. All right, so we have a good cut, right? Let's take our masking tape off. And because we don't want to rip our paper, I should have de-stickified it just a little bit more. Obviously, running it through the die cutting machine kind of presses the adhesive into the cardstock a little bit more. Hopefully I didn't destroy this, guys. Okay. And then one of the easiest ways to remove it is just to roll it off. Okay. Just roll it off. Okay, so I did make a mistake on that one, but that's okay. There's more than one way to fix mistakes. There we go. So now we'll have these 3 pieces that we can reuse at some point in our near future, right? There we go. Now what we need to do is create our frame. Now I'm trying to determine, so we might keep these. How big of a frame do I want, right? How thick of a frame? When I say thick, obviously we know that when we're creating a frame, this is how we create a frame. So you see this is fairly thin. I think I want a thicker frame, so I'm going to go the next size, which would be our number 6. And create a frame. So you see I have a bigger frame that I'm creating, right? So that's what you do in terms of determining what size or how thick your frame is around your image. So that's what we're going to do. I'm pretty happy with that. You should be fairly de-stickified by now. And here we go with that. I went and I watched Spider-Man yesterday. Oh my gosh. I'm getting back into my movie fanatic days. There was a period of time where almost every Tuesday I would meet up with my sister and we would just go watch a movie on Tuesdays. I should go back to that. I don't know why I don't do it anymore. Okay. And we're just going to put this back in the die cut machine. Now that we have our decided. And cut this frame out. Oops. Okay. I think we're done with our die cutting machine for now. We'll see in a little bit. I may want to die cut something else, so I'm going to keep that on standby. So here we have our frame. And we have another frame if we chose to use this one as well, right? So you see we have options. I'm going to put these back for now. And then put this away. So now we get to decide, do we want this as our frame? Wait, we're upside down here. We're upside down. So do we want this one as our frame? I think we're gonna go with the little one because then we'll cover up the fresh freesia if we do it that way. So we're gonna go with this, and we have created our frame. Guys, it looks more difficult than it is. It's just a lot of moving parts and moving pieces to create this shadow box card. But it is a fairly simple card. It's a fairly simple card. So we've got our frame, right? And we've got our card base, right? And so the first thing we are going to do is we're now going to adhere our frame to the inside on this way, okay? I use liquid glue, especially in projects like this where I'm going to need that little extra time and space, time to make sure everything is aligned properly and correctly. And when you add your adhesive, try not to get too close to the score line because you want to prevent any issues or problems with your card closing properly. So we align the edge to the edge, the top to the top, and that starts to create our shadow box. Okay? Perfect. So here's what we have. Here's the frame of what we've got, right? And here's what we have. So now we're going to decorate the inside of our box. This is outside. Where's the rest of my stuff? Okay. So now let's finish decorating the inside. So here's what I want on the inside, but I've got to frame it. I think maybe let's use this. Just like that. perfect. I'm going to trim this down just a tad. I'm going to trim it down just a little bit, 1/8 of an inch, I believe. Just a sliver. It's bigger than a sliver, but it's okay. All right, so now we're going to add this on the inside. Now we're going to add adhesive everywhere. Now, we should have a small border around, right? And then here's what we're going to do. What I'm going to do is I die cut from the Sunset Coast. This is one of the dies. And I want to see where I want my little sailboat, right? So I'm going to line it up. I'm going to close my window. I see that I'm going to have to trim it, right? But where's my little trimmer? I just had my trimmer. And all I did was I die cut it out of some black cardstock. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it through my window just to see what I want showing through my window and where to position my sunset sail, right? So that's kind of where I want this to be. Right about there, right? Make sure again, let's line it up properly. Perfect. And now all I'm going to do is add adhesive around right? And we're going to go all the way up and over, right? Because I believe that's what we said we wanted to do. There. This is going to go about here. No, we want this guy down here. Over. And then we're just going to close the window. If I can get this right. All right. That's important when you aligning your adhesive to make sure it's where you actually need for it to be. Okay. or you can use the back and use your grid lines to align as well. Okay? Now that you've got it aligned, we're going to go in and we're going to trim this off because we've built our scene, right? Perfect. And now we're going to adhere this on the inside. Just like this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then what we're going to do finally is we are going to make sure this is aligned. We're going to add some adhesive just on this 1/2 inch portion. Oops. And then we're going to close our fold. Burnish that adhesive in a little bit. And here we go. Look at that. We've created our little shadow box and our little sailboats coming into the sunset. Okay. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead. I'm just going to add this on here just for simplicity purposes. I know. Thank you. I loved this when I saw it. And when I first saw it, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so challenging. But it really just has a lot of moving parts to it. And so sometimes because it has those moving parts, you tend to think it's going to be a difficult project to create, but it's not really. It is really quite simple. It just has what I call a lot of moving parts. So here we've got this and we've opened this up. Now we're going to decorate the inside of our card, right? We've got this. I think I must have used, let's just cut another piece of fresh freesia then. Or do I? Nope, I don't have that. Here's some fresh freesia. Our basic white piece on the inside is 3 3/8 by 5. Let's make sure we've got 3 3/8 by 5 here. That's a little bit more than 5. Okay, so this is our 5. This is our 3 3/8. So if we do that, 3 3/8, that would be 4 and 4.5. No, 3.5. I'm sorry, 3.5. By 5 1/8. Unfortunately, this does not go up to 5 1/8, so I need my other trimmer. All right. What happened here? That is 3 3/8. Okay. So I'm going to take this down to 3 1/4. Let's see if that'll fit. I'm not sure how I got to be so off in my measurements, but I am. All right, let's just cut it this again. So this is 5 1/4. Oh, that's why. Because this is 3 and so if we take this down to 5, perfect. I will put all of the correct measurements, anything. I'm going to put the measurements as they should be, not as I have adjusted for in the description box or on my blog. That way you will find, if you want to recreate this project, you will find the information that you need. All right, so let's do a little bit of stamping. So on our oh gosh. I'm going to use this. We're going to create a little bit of a coastline right here. Oh, good. I'm glad, Michelle. Thank you so much. Sometimes when I'm trying to explain some things, they may not be as, my instructions may not be as easy, but they are, and I try to make it as simple as I possibly can because I want people to try things. And just to understand that though it may look difficult, though it may look like it's a lot of work, though it may look difficult, that you should be able to just try it. If you break it down into the sum of its parts and pieces, you should be able to recreate whatever it is you're wanting to create. I'm using Blueberry Bushel. I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it as dark as that for the inside. I didn't stamp off very well, but it is what it is. And I'm going to stamp this right on the inside. Like that. Right? Because this is where you're going to write your message. And I don't want to take up all of the room so you don't have any place to write a little message. Gotta have place to write a message. You do. I saw a little sailboat. So I'm going to put a little sailboat in here. Let's find our little block. Let's see what that stamped off layer looks like. Okay, I want it stamped off. Okay. So we've designed our inner panel for the card. Let's put that away. And our guys, we got to do a little sentiment on the front. You don't have to put a sentiment on the front. You can let the front be and speak for itself just as it is. And let opening the shadow box tell its own story. Okay, we'll clean that up and put that away. We're going to add this to the inside of our card. Try to make sure it's as even as possible. And there we go. Guys, our shadow box card is pretty much finished. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to put a sentiment on the outside. Yes, you could definitely try this, Michelle. But here's our shadow box card. We have let the designer series paper and the die pretty much do the work for us. I love this. If anything, I'm probably going to stamp a sentiment and just put it across here. And then maybe, ooh, where's my pen? You see how I have ideas that just pop into my head? I need some birds. All right. And that's all I did was add a little bit of birds. And sometimes just adding that little detail adds just a little touch. So what do you think about this card, guys? Are you going to try the shadow box card? I hope you do. Here is our sample as to what we tried. And then here's our final card for today. I really think I might do something here. I'm not sure. And because I'm not sure, I'm not going to do it, right? So there we go. Guys, most awesome. So glad you liked it, Michelle. So most of the products are available in my online store. And my online store you can find at www.sweetsignatures.stampinup.net. If you do not have a Stampin' Up demonstrator and you would like to purchase, I would love to serve in that capacity for you today. If you have any questions at all about the project today, you'd like to ask some questions, my information is scrolling at the top of the screen. You can email me at sweetsignatures@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding today's projects. Guys, on that note, thanks for joining me on this Sunday morning. I'm getting ready to go stamp with my girlfriends in our crafty time. But thanks for joining me here in the craft room. Until next time, happy stamping!